Hi everyone, and welcome to tonight's Desteni Movie Hangout, where we're going to discuss the movie Interstellar. Before we begin, some housekeeping notes. If you want to ask a question, you can do so by using the question text box, and we will address your questions during the live session. So please go ahead and participate. We want this to be a discussion and a conversation. Also, this hangout is going to become available on demand shortly after we finish. And additionally, I want to invite you all to subscribe our channel so you are up to date to all our future events. Right. So tonight we're going to discuss this movie Interstellar, a very recent movie that was in the cinemas not long ago, and it talks about it happens in the future, and it's a science fiction movie in a time where the Earth is going through some problems. I mean, it's like you're going into survival mode, so people can't live there anymore. And there's this space trip, a space mission that is being prepared by NASA at a time where even space missions have been almost disclassified and put into question, but they are doing that based on a theory that somewhere beyond this wormhole there's going to be the solution to find a place for people to live. However, in this whole story, and sorry to spoil it for those who haven't watched the movie, which I do suggest you to watch, then we find out that this guy, well, the guy that is going to lead this mission, he ends up in a situation where he had to decide either to come back to his family on Earth or to keep the mission to save humanity. And when we talk about saving humanity, the initial mission was not to actually save the people on Earth, but to start a new colony of humans in that new place that could sustain human life. So this is the main story, and there's also a big relationship between this guy Cooper and his daughter, and that's also where the main story happens, where there's this communication, a bridge that happens between the two of them to find a solution for the people on Earth. Right, so now that we went through this short summary, I want to introduce our guests for tonight's discussion. And we have Valentin from Slovenia. Hi, Valentin.
Hi.
Nice to see you. And we have Yogan from the United States. Hi.
Hello.
Cool. So guys, let's kick off. And I'm gonna ask you, what was the main point in the movie that resonated with you?
Well, for me, throughout the movie, it's a blockbuster, it's a Hollywood movie, so you would definitely expect there to be some action scenes. So there's this one scene where there's a lot of action in it. There's an explosion on the spaceship, and it was really intense, and they only had one shot to, let's say, stay alive. And so the pilot, which is played by Matthew McConaughey, he has to now, there's a spinning spaceship he has to land with or dock with, and he's able to pull it off. And the scene lasts for let's say 3 or 4 minutes, it feels like, and it's this really intense scene. And for me, it sort of represented moments in our life where you just have to go for it, where it's a really intense moment where you can either just freak out oh, it's impossible, I can never do that, there's no way we're going to survive, it's impossible, or you can sort of do what he did in the movie, meaning just go for it, it's the only chance, so just go for it, which is what he did. And he gave it his best shot, and they actually made it, of course. It's a movie, of course, but what it represents, symbolically, is that point of, even if when you have just the slightest chance, still go for it, and there's no point in just sitting around and doing nothing,
Cool, Yogan.
like that.
And actually, I want to also clarify that for those people that are watching, we give Destonian perspectives. And what that means is when we are walking the Desteni I process, so over the last years, we've been investigating ourselves, we've been writing about our minds, and basically we've been bringing responsibility, self-responsibility for our own thoughts, emotions. And by doing so, when we watch a movie, we can allow ourselves to see beyond the veil. So we assess the information and we check, okay, what is this movie actually showing that is beneficial or not? And that's what we're doing in these discussions. So I just wanted to clarify that. So Valentin, so what was the main point in the movie that resonated with your own process?
Yeah, initially the major point that I noticed was the emotional reaction of the main character, who had played a very responsible role of a spacecraft pilot and had to make a lot of important decisions. And how this is actually not true in reality, because spaceship pilots or NASA astronauts cannot afford to lose their temper when they are doing important tasks. So, as I know, the people who are really in charge, like managers, directors, and so on, and presidents especially, they have to control their feelings and emotions. So the movies intentionally create artificial drama that is not actually existent in real life, and this then creates a false message about how it is okay to flow with our emotions, to allow them. This is the main point, yeah.
Okay, well, this is a movie, right? And this had to become a blockbuster. So, but it's interesting to definitely kind of be aware that we don't need these emotions in order to take decisions, basically. And most likely, our decisions are better directed if we actually assess common sense and do what is best for everyone. Right. I mean, for me, the point that resonated the most, well, there was various points. I think this movie brings, in the middle of all that drama that you were just saying, Valentine, for me was the main messages about our relationships to the earth itself. Like, there's some point in the movie where he says, like, we have everything. When he was looking at to the earth, when he was up in space, and he says that we have everything. And while at the same time, even though we do have everything, we're kind of trying to escape and find life somewhere else or to colonize, kind of repeating history. And so that's what I was seeing. And based on that, I wanted to ask you guys in the movie, what did you see that was this day that they were talking about? And how does that relate to what we are doing in terms of taking responsibility for ourselves?
Yeah, this is a similar example like current progression when we want to research other planets, like this inventor Elon Musk, millionaire, the charge of the SpaceX program, wants to research Mars. And he said that we as a humanity have to have a common goal in order to unite us. And this research of the Mars should be this point. But why do we need some external point outside of our planet to unite us? Why can we not just see this planet from this perspective? We have enough satellites that we can observe our planet from up from the sky, and we can clearly see the problems and what are the causes of the problem, and also what are the solutions. So why do we not take care of this planet first?
So, Valentin, when you're talking about in the movie they talk about them initially, but then the conclusion is that the them is actually ourselves.
Yeah, in the movie there is it's in fact sort of time travel movie where the main character goes into the space and through the wormhole, and then he eventually lands in the point of singularity, where he manages to communicate back in time.
Yeah, we will definitely discuss that a little bit further down the line in this hangout. So let's just go one point at a time. But yes, we have many points to discuss, and again, let me just remind everyone that you can send our questions. Jürgen, do you want to add anything to the point of the creators and the them that is talked in the movie, almost as some gods or some invisible forces that the realization?
Yeah, like aliens in a way, right? How it's really common that, you know, a lot of people think there's aliens out there who are watching us, who are protecting us, or that, you know, are observing us, or etc. And that there's this kind of hope within that, you know, maybe one day they're gonna, I don't know, come and save us, or, you know, sort of fix all our problems for us, you know. That there's hope that there's a really intelligent race out there, you know, alien species that will, you know, it's like that kind of a point where, like you're mentioning with the word God, the same point, like someone who's super powered, who is going to be able to fix our problems for us. And so yeah, I forget if you mentioned this, but it's like a twist ending. I'm spoiling it now. You don't want to hear it. So it's like a twist ending where there's no aliens, there's no super. Well, I mean, there's like a power, but it actually turns out to be ourselves, you know, in the future, who sends out this wormhole and this whole message in order to, let's say, resolve all the conflict that's in the movie. So it's kind of like a twist because it's, you know, it's that point of it's yourself. It's not like some other alien species out there, etc. You know, it just turns out to be the humans themselves that are able to help themselves. So that's a cool message, I think.
Yeah, it was very interesting to see that flow in the movie and the simplicity of it, but at the same time, it definitely makes us think outside the box about how we are all one and equal in our continuation of what we're doing. So in a way, the information that the father Cooper was sending through that dimension to the daughter, in the end, they were working as one. And when we talk about humanity and saving our species, we're talking about us, ourselves individuals, but also as a whole. And this all content that we have been discussing in the forums, the Desteni forums, and in our own process, it was, I visually quite well explained. If we look at it from a perspective of, oh yeah, damn, we are actually doing this and we can help ourselves, which is the cool thing, is that actually you can, well, travel in time, not necessarily out in the movie because it's still a science fiction movie, but we can make an effort to not give up on ourselves and to walk through it, find solutions, and don't be limited by our own beliefs and ideas that we have created about who we are, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Valentin, do you have anything to say about this point?
Yeah, this is what I wanted to say previously about that we are the ones who have to send us on the mission of saving ourselves.
And why do you think we haven't done that yet? Well, what has been from your discovery of yourself? Why is that we are not doing and we are trying instead to find solutions out there where the likely is to do exactly the same mess as we've been doing this far?
Yeah, the reason is because of our mind patterns, so thinking patterns, behavior patterns, that we inherit from the past. And because we have been directed, manipulated via the mind, or we call it the mind consciousness system, which was a system of manipulation from these beings from the heaven, we can say that. So we were not like free beings who would be able to decide from the starting point of what is best for all, to have a common sense. But we were constantly distracted, and still are distracted by our minds that create thoughts in our heads and emotions. So if you want to become responsible beings, we must start to take charge and to stop participation in the mind and question every single thought that mind produces and analyze it. Where does it come from? What is its starting point? And if it's not the best for all, we are then not to follow. We are then to follow, to direct ourselves based on the principle what is best for all. And only when we all, or the majority, start to follow this principle, then we can actually produce what is best for all.
Yeah, and it's interesting that in the movie we can see that the main points of deception is exactly when best for all is not considered. So there was this scene in the movie where the lady, the explorer lady, I can't remember her name right now, but she wanted to get some samples of these pieces of a spaceship that was lost in one of the planets that they visited, and then she was so focused in her own mission that she kind of disconnected. She had this mind shift, and she basically lost control of herself. And there was this guy that died because of her own. She wasn't careful enough, basically. So that was a point where she was just thinking about herself in terms of getting that mission done of her own participation and ignoring everything else. I think that's one point of deception that, as you said, Valentin, it kind of spoils everything that we want to make new. And the other point was the guy, like the scientist that was behind the whole mission, had kept the lie. So he was mainly considering, even though he was considering the human species, he wasn't considering the people that existed already. And so again, he wasn't considering the best for everyone, because he was excluding the people on Earth from the very beginning. Jürgen, what do you have to say about this in terms of solutions?
Solutions? Okay. Well, I mean, I guess the basic solution is always what's best for all. So, I mean.
But how do you live that? Like, I mean, if you were, bringing that to your own life. I mean, for the people that are watching, okay, what does that mean?
Yeah. So, I mean, really, it's those words itself. They describe exactly what you do. You stop. You consider. You look at all the points, and you consider everyone. But just like anything you do in life, you sort of have to practice it and like do it. And we look at how we live our lives individually, because we live in a way that's sort of in contrast or in friction with that, because we've only considered our point of view or ourselves, so like that point of ego. Because we've done that for so long, that makes sense why it's harder to consider, everyone, because we've sort of been doing the opposite in a way. It's kind of like in friction. So that's why there's resistance to consider everyone, because now you have to sort of change your way of thinking, your way of living,
Yeah.
So that sort of describes why there's a problem, why it's not so easy. And then, of course, the solution is like, you have to, I want to say, you kind of need to be a badass and kind of like be really tough and like just kind of really be strong. You have to really have that kind of force and that kind of power that needs to overcome the walls you've created for yourself. So you need to be like a person that really pushes for something, because like I said, there's a lot of friction regarding that because of how we've lived so far.
Yeah, and it's funny that the main character, Cooper, he is able to transcend those limitations in a way. Like, there's this scene in the movie, and now that we're talking about the time and also the time loops that they went through, which is literally a time loop where time is ticking, and the lives are being lost on Earth because of that. And in that point in the movie, you can actually see these timelines, which are these grids, the visual grids of memories and space and time coming all together. And he's analyzing that, and he's seeing the patterns. And one thing that he started doing was what for him was common sense, which was to communicate. However, many people were like not understand, okay, how does that work, and would actually limit ourselves to not think outside the box, I would say. So to consider solutions that initially were not considered, and he was actually saying to the robot, okay, we have people to save, think, what can we do to save them? And they eventually managed to find a solution. Obviously, this is a movie, but what do you guys have to say in terms of when, from this scene, what do you take? Was anything else that you saw in the section apart from these timelines? What did you see?
So the daughter and the father, right? They were communicating with the watch, right? In the movie.
Yeah.
So for that to really happen, like, assuming that's real, they would have to have a sort of a connection or understanding one another, So it's that point of the father being able to, okay, I know Merv, I know how she is, his daughter, and have that understanding of the connection with the human being to be able to communicate that and pull that off, like how they did. So it's kind of that point.
Go ahead, sorry.
So it's kind of that point where when you sort of develop a relationship with a person, you get to know them so well that you know who they are, how they stand for, and you're able to, in a way, create very unique solutions with them because you're both able to complement each other and, be able to work with each other, which otherwise you wouldn't be able to because you need that kind of the understanding, that starting point, that foundation you've built. If that makes sense. Yeah.
Nice. It's a very cool perspective. Valentin, what do you see in terms of this section in the movie when we're talking about like the different times and how we create solutions that are a bit outside the box?
Yeah. So we at Desteni are researching how the whole universe works, and also first about these paranormal events like ghosts and demons and so on. So one point is that I would like to invite everyone to listen to the audio series, The Quantum Mechanics of Paranormal Events, on the IQAF website, where it is explained how was it possible for the objects to be moved. And then, in context of this point of singularity, where the main character was able to access different points in time, and that this was the point that was created by the beings who lived in fifth dimension in order for us who live in fourth dimension to understand how and access and have access to different times. So this is what we do at Desteni. The complex information about the dimensions about time and space and life after death and so on, and time travel. This information is being simplified in order to be understood and digested by the common people. So we have a lot of this information. And one of very supportive tool is also this online course, Desteni I Process, where we are taught how to walk the timeline of our past lives. We can in effect kind of walk back in time travel, but we cannot change past events. because it would change the current reality. But we can influence our perception, our attitudes towards the past events, and to release ourselves from repeating the same mistakes over and over again. And this is what is cool at Desteni.
Cool, Valentin, and we will definitely share the links that you mentioned from the quantum interviews and the course. And now, like, I mean, in fact, when I was watching that scene in the movie where we can see the grids and the guy was seeing the scenes and the various timelines of the daughter in the room, I could see of that as a timeline, a visual timeline. You know, in the course, when we think about a memory and we write the timelines of that memory and we see how each line takes to the next one and it plays out the whole reality, that our own reality, our lives. And then when I was watching it, was like visually, it reminded me that. And as you said, Valentin, I mean, we cannot change the past, but we are definitely responsible for changing the future if we want the patterns to change and to be better than what have been so far. So that was something that I could definitely relate to my own process. And the fact as well that in the movie we are also shown that it is possible to change if that there's self-willingness to make it happen. Well, we don't have any questions as far, so I'm just going to go and continue to other points that this movie kind of brings. And you know that there's this robot that the TARS that in the movie. So this happens in the near future, right? So there's this very intelligent robot. But Valentin, what was your perspective? Because before we started the hangout, we were discussing about this, and you said something very interesting about this relationship between the human and the machines. Do you want to share it with us?
Yeah, this robot was designed very like a boxy structure, but it was very agile, effective, and also the ways of communication was very human-like, not like, you know, scary. And it had implanted the module for the humor, and also it was not allowed to speak 100% truth, because the reason is that it is not very safe to communicate total truth with the emotional beings, like humans. So this is a point that is related to our process, where we work towards increasing self-honesty and to speak constantly the truth. However, we can say truth to each other between the ones who are in the process, because we can trust each other, and we are in charge of our emotional reactions, or we do not allow it. But if we would tell the total truth to somebody else, they would immediately emotionally react. And this is the problem in our society, how to bring some solutions without triggering emotional reactions from the majority of the people.
Okay, yeah, and it's like a reflection of our whatever we accept and allow. So if we allow only 90% of honesty in our lives, that's also what we're going to create, and that's also what we're going to receive. So it's an interesting dynamic there, the giving and receiving, and how we are, yeah, and even with the robots, we were not even able to transcend that point yet. So thanks for sharing that, Valentin. And the other point, that now that we're talking about the emotions and self-honesty, there was this, at some point they talked about love, and there was this decision of going to one of the planets based on this gut feeling or the love instinct that the women explorer had. It's also funny that there was a bit, perhaps I saw, was that the woman was the only one talking about it, even though there's, and then in the end, love is actually mentioned not as a love, not only a love for the other person, even though it was a daughter, but it was more of the point of trust, and making things happen. Jürgen, what was your perspective in regards to this love that the guys talk in the movie? Can you relate to that?
Yeah. So like, I mean, I've heard like people who watch this movie who are fathers or I guess parents, they end up sort of they feel that point of the father leaving the daughter and that whole relationship. So it's like a very emotional experience for that. So I mean, because like one thing about parents sort of have to sacrifice so much, right, in order to raise children. So that sacrifice was shown throughout the movie when the father leaves the daughter, with in mind, with intent that he wants to do what's best for his daughter. And even though he's not going to be there, that's what he would want to be able to stand be with her, enjoy that. He goes on this mission where, it ends up, where he misses her entire life. He's not there for her. And then, of course, at the end of the movie, she understands why. It's that point where parents feel that guilt, I guess, because they do so much that they think, we want to do what's best for our kids. And that point of, it's from that starting point of the reason would be for love for the child. Then, of course, like it's like it's a whole complex thing because obviously it can be used both for justification and for abuse. Like, oh, I'll do it what's best for you. But the thing is, you can't really do what's best for another person if you don't even know what's best for you. If you were to do what's best for you, what's best for everyone. So that's kind of like a weird contradiction there. So in this case, of course, he does what's best for the whole planet. So it is a case of doing what's best for everyone. So that's interesting in that regard. So I mean, I'll just say that.
Yeah, and it's also interesting that they say that love is the one. Like at some point, they say the lady was saying love is the one thing that can transcend time and space. However, they were in a mission that was actually against everyone on the planet. It was just starting about something new. But I was asking myself, what will happen if we actually love ourselves as humanity, if we love one another without any barriers, without judgments, without considering like I don't like any point of separation that exists nowadays, either being a nation or even a political stance or whatever. If we moved all of that aside, what will happen if we actually love? Because then if that happens, then would we give up on ourselves? Valentin, do you have any perspectives on that point of loving ourselves?
Yeah, the main thing to understand here that there are two different kinds of love. One is love as a feeling, as an energetic reaction that is produced within our minds, and we are ourselves responsible for its creation, and it is not dependent on anyone else outside us. So this is fake love. This is energetic illusion. The real love is practical love in terms of do unto another what you would like to do unto yourself. To place yourself in the shoes of other and to assist practically. This is true love, physical, practical, actual love.
Yeah, to definitely care about it and to manifest that care. That's a very cool explanation, Valentin. And guys, we got a question. So we're about 5 minutes to go, but we still have a few things to discuss. And let me read out loud the question we got from Blas. And he says, in relation to speaking 100% the truth, would you say that people mostly fear the truth? And why do you think it's so? And why is the truth scary? So, who wants to pick it up?
Yeah, I'll give a comment. So I feel like if you look at how we grew up, in our society, it's like sort of a pre-programming, like, you know, it's like sort of how we grew up, right? No one really speaks the truth when you're a little kid, and that's your whole entire life, you know? And so it's like it's been there since you were born, and it's within society, so it's probably been occurring for a long, long time. And really, like Valentina said, we have our patterns, right? So our emotional patterns. So it ends up just being a pattern that we're living, which, when you look at with common sense, you would want people to tell you the truth all the time, and you would want yourself to be able to tell the truth 100% all the time. But it's like how we react to it, how we feel about it, and we start getting angry or judgmental or scared or all these different emotions. So commonsensically, we want the truth, but it's this kind of emotional pattern that's been going on, which is what we have to investigate and find out why it is the way it is and what's going on, you know, what's the story behind that, you know, and to be able to change that within ourselves.
Valentin, anything else to add on that?
Yeah, for example, when we were children and we did something and we told parents exactly what we did. And firstly, sometimes they did not believe us, or the other reaction was that they become mad. So we wanted to protect ourselves in order to not be hurt. And this has become the fear about the reactions of others if we tell the truth. So it's not about the truth; it's about reactions of from other people if we would tell them the truth.
But also, I mean, I definitely agree with that. But also, we are the ones not allowing ourselves to be true to ourselves. I mean, we have our own secrets, and we try to hide it from our own selves. So it's like it's a pattern that starts within us. And actually, in the movie, I found quite interesting that the girl, the daughter, she was Murphy, her name, and she was quite honest with her father, like saying there's this ghost in the room, and she was showing him. And because he was open to that, I mean, some parents probably would say, oh, the ghosts don't exist, don't talk to me about that, because they fear the unknown, while at the same time was exactly that point of transparency in their communication that allowed them to basically find solutions and bring that solution. So it's quite interesting to see how this point of the truth, or to not judge what happens and to simply try to understand as much as possible. And guys, actually, when I was talking about this scene in the movie, I remind myself that in the code Morse that she was reading in the communication, the word stay was what she found out. And in the movie, the stay, we could interpret that as being the father saying stay, as meaning don't go away, don't leave the daughter, and stay on Earth, and don't go into space-time. But when I was when I watched the movie the second time, and I was bringing that to my process and our responsibility on Earth, I read it more as a stay here on Earth, stay here in this present moment, instead of navigating into the future in terms of trying to, do things, either into the future of expectations and hopes, but also into Mars and any other planets, instead of finding solutions to our own selves now, here on Earth, with the physical life that we have here. What else, I mean, what do you guys say about that?
Yeah, I agree. The main point is to stay here in form of integrating with our bodies, because there are two dimensions that we can pick to participate in or to live in. One is this physical body here, and one is this mind that is invisible, that is has intangible substance. And staying here means to stick with the physical, to your physical body, because it is stable. The mind moves and changes and it is not very practical to participate in all the time. We need to stay with what is here, with what is true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yogan, anything else to add?
Sure, a quick comment. So, yeah, the word stay is like similar to the word stand. So you stay, stand, so it's a point of not moving, or a point of sort of staying within, like exactly what Valentin was saying. That relates a lot to, like in mathematics, right? One thing within mathematics, you need a starting point, like a 0 point, in order to measure, in order to make a measurement, or in order to draw a grid, or be able to relate any information. Really, you need to have a 0 point, a starting point. And so that stays similar to that, where you want to have, if you're not stable or standing within one point, I'm talking about life in general, then you're gonna be sort of lost in life. So you need your grounding point. You need your point where you're stable, so you're able to assess your reality, assess where you're gonna be going, your future, make goals, assess your past. So you need that grounding point, that zero point, in order to even do that. So it's a very practical point too that we were discussing. Yeah.
Cool, guys, and we got also a comment from Carrie. Thank you for watching us and being with us, Carrie, here. And just before we leave, I want to perhaps wrap up our hangout and some of the points that we can, well, have a look at whenever whoever is watching the hangout, and then we'll watch the movies, to always take the juice of the movie and to bring those points into ourselves, and to see beyond the veil of what is the message and how can you actually be practical about it. So as they were saying about the point of stay, not only the stay as meaning stay with the like the father being with the daughter and living happy ever after, when in fact it wouldn't be so because the planet was being destroyed, but also the point of stay as, okay, the earth is still here for us, we are still here. We're not now going anywhere else, so let's find solutions and stand with our 2 feet on the ground, and use common sense and what is best for all. I mean, we have everything that it takes. It's just about changing our starting point from a survival starting point to actually a caring and a loving starting point, not only for us, our families and friends, but for everyone. So I thought that this would be a great start of the year to open up with these messages. Also, just before we stop this hangout, I want to invite everyone to join the next hangout. So this movie night hangout happens every Friday at the same time, and also to subscribe our channel so that you can also attend other events that we produce throughout the week. Guys, I think we're now top of yeah, we need to go now. So thank you everyone for watching, and thanks for your participation. It was indeed a great hangout, guys. So I'll see you next time.
Thank you, Joanna.
Bye bye.
See you. Bye.
Bye.